I think it's fair to say that the era of the worst generation is finally here. Well, specifically Post-Wano anyways. Now, normally I wouldn't know if this would happen if this was just the fall of one emperor as opposed to two emperors falling, because I don't think one emperor falling would necessarily cause the downfall of an era. When you have multiple, I think it's very reasonable to say that, especially when you have two emperors from the same era falling at the same time. Shanks is somewhat new to this, so I don't know if he's classified in the same era as Big Mom and Kaido. But these two falling down here definitely changes the tone of this era into a new one that is the age of the worst generation. And of course, with the defeat of the emperors, those who defeated them will get more fame and recognition, and that's definitely what's in store for the Supernova trio as of right now, because these three are the cream of the crop of their generation. And of course, you can add in Blackbeard in there as well, but Blackbeard is sort of an anomaly within these guys. But when it comes to rising up and going up against the enemy, these three are unmatched. Kid has always been actively going up against the Yonkos just like Luffy, and Law on the other hand had other storylines that he had to deal with, but it also involved the takedown of a Yonko. In fact, Law was actually the person who proposed the plan to Luffy in the first place, and here we're seeing the culmination of their actions and their goals finally being filled. Even though it didn't start out as they originally intended it to be, there's been twists and turns over the course of the journey thus far, and honestly it's amazing to see how far these guys have come. The goal to defeat Kaido started 9 years ago in Punk Hazard, and I think we're just a few months away from that happening. The setup, the build up, the journey thus far has been incredible to say the least, and I am here for all of it. Now, One Piece chapter 1039 is definitely one for the books. The action sequence between Law and Kid versus Big Mom was some of the best I think we've seen in the story so far, and honestly that's expected given the individual that they are fighting is a Yonko. But the combination effort between these two is something that I really enjoyed, even though we were giving Kid, a lot of criticism in terms of the moves that he was using. He was still putting in work, from the awakening to Law's hacksness, and seeing those two, even though very incompatible in terms of personality, they still work something out. And of course, you gotta give massive credit to Law here, because he is easily one of the MVPs of this arc, if not the main MVP, just because this man has done so many things that has been very subtle, but in the grand scheme of things has essentially helped the Alliance win. Without Law, this wouldn't have played out how it should have, right? But I think you can also say that for everyone else. It's just that Law is more valuable as a team player than anyone else, if that makes any sense. But as great as this chapter was, it does raise some questions in terms of Big Mom being defeated or not, as that would be indicative of what comes next. Now, usually I'd like to think Big Mom is defeated here, just in context of Law's speech, how the final blow was delivered. Everything just felt like it was going to be over for Big Mom, but I'm not entirely sure, just because she has some storylines that are sort of incomplete, so it gives you the idea that Oda might have more in store for her, on top of the fact that she essentially has everything, unlike Kaido, who's about to lose everything. She still has her crew, she still has territory and influence, so even though she gets defeated here, she can still recover. But her defeat here definitely signifies something even greater, in which her reputation as a Yonko might disappear due to this loss, and that can trickle down to all kinds of things, and things that would be attributed to people that defeated her, in this case Law and Kid specifically. Obviously Luffy's name is also attached to this as well, because again, when it comes to these kind of things, Luffy's name is always attached, with him being sort of the ringleader of all of this, right? But as far as Big Mom's defeat goes, it's very obvious that the majority of it will be going to Kid and Law, as we do know that CP0 is currently here and surveying things, and obviously they're going to relay that information back to HQ, and bounties will get an increase. But with Big Mom going down here, this could possibly result in Kid and Law gaining more members on your crew. And I say this because when it comes down to Kaido's crew, we have to realize that it is a crew that has a system based on meritocracy, right? In which strength is viewed in the highest regard. And so if you have individuals come up here, storm the headquarters, and defeat an equal to the captain, I think that's definitely going to make people follow you, because you are the stronger person, right? I feel like there's a possibility that Ulti and and page 1 might join Kid's crew here, depending on how things progress in this arc, because we have to realize that once Kaido is done with, everyone on his crew is essentially going to disband or be arrested. That's the only two options that the Beast Pirates do have, but a possible third option is them joining the crew of the people or the individuals that beat their captain or an equal to their captain, right? And so I think it's possible that we might see some of them joining either Law or Kid's crew. Now, normally I would say Luffy as well, but Luffy is very picky on who he wants in his crew, and I doubt that he would allow anyone from the Beast Pirates join his crew, but that's not necessarily the same case for a crew like Kid's. So that's something I can see bolstering the crews of Kid and Law. Specifically Kid, because he has Conqueror's Haki, so he has that innate natural leader quality that people would be attracted to, even though we haven't seen that from him yet. For Law, I'm not sure how things are going to trickle down for him, because it seems like he has a new goal in store now, because we do know that he is interested in the poneglyph stuff, and he does want to know the truth about the D, and I think sometimes we do forget that he is a part of the D clan as well, so he is very important to the overarching storyline in One Piece. But obviously one of the more exciting things though is Post-Wano, because Luffy, Kid, and Law are going to be regarded on a whole different level from a world perspective, in which they will most likely be recognized not as new Yonkos, but as sort of the new overlords of the new world. Now, the reason why I don't say Yonkos is because I feel like two of them getting defeated here completely breaks the system, and I did make a video on this. If you guys do want to check that out, links will be in the description. But essentially in that video I give reasons as to why two Yonkos going down at the same time creates a hole that cannot be filled anymore, and thus will lead to more chaos and destruction. But in turn, it also kind of makes the Marines a much more powerful enemy, as they increasingly become a more united force in the One Piece world. But overall, I don't think the Yonko system will exist after Wano, just because things are just not going to be the same. Given that there's this two massive holes in the system now, it's just going to crumble apart. And we do know that the world government, specifically the Gorosei, don't plan on stabilizing the system anymore, and they just want to get rid of it completely. So it works in their benefit as well. But I feel like the news that we're going to get post Wano is going to be the best out of any other in-betweens that we've had between arcs before, just because this one actually culminates in something happening. The other ones for the most part are seemingly just setups as to what is to come, but here we actually got something done in Wano, which is defeat two emperors. And I think post Wano will show us something in actuality, where this build up that we've had previously has finally taken shape. So that's going to be exciting, because taking down two emperors is massive. We do also have to take time into perspective here as well. We don't necessarily know what has happened in the outside world in these weeks that we've been in Wano. I forget how much time we've been in Wano, but I believe it's like a couple of weeks to maybe a month now. So I think we're going to get big news on reveals of things that has happened, you know, like Sabo and Dragon, what happened to that scenario, Blackbeard and whatever business he had with the Marines, with some sort of power that he was chasing, you know, the possible reveal of Green Bull, which a lot of people think he might come to Wano. We're not sure yet. You know, the situation with the warlords, how individuals like Boa Hancock and Mihawk are doing. You know, there is a lot going on, and honestly it might be the best transition chapters we will get thus far. So again, I'm really excited for this. But what are you guys' thoughts on this? Comment down below what you guys think. I'd appreciate it if you dropped a like on this video, hit the bell if you want to get notified for future content, and subscribe for more One Piece content on this channel. You can follow me on Twitter at FerroSpace. But it is fair, guys, and I will see you folks later. Peace.